morning. So I have the opportunity to welcome you to Jersey City today for an important announcement. I want to say a special thank you to Governor Murphy for his leadership on gun initiatives throughout New Jersey and the help that he's provided in Jersey City. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say a special thank you to the Attorney General, who has been, unfortunately, in Jersey City too often over the last 2 months with some of the violence that we've seen here, because we've been together for a negative situation as opposed to a positive situation. And I just want to say thank you also for your leadership over the last month and a half. It's been second to none. When you talk about challenges in Jersey City, gun violence is one of our largest challenges. To put that in perspective, on a given year, Jersey City Police Department will confiscate about 300 illegal guns off our streets here. And this year, we're trending at an increase of close to 100% through January. Last January, we had 10 guns taken off the street, and we're at close to 30 already for the month of January. So that gives you a little bit of perspective on the challenges that we face every single day here in Jersey City. And we recognize that changes have to happen in order to be able to combat this, because while we're seeing a decrease in crime in places like Jersey City, we also recognize that any time that there is gun violence in any community, it reverberates throughout that neighborhood and causes trauma and PTSD and long-term impacts for people that live in that area. So we're focusing on that as a priority, and we're treating it more as a public health initiative as opposed to just violence. And that's really important to solving the problems going forward. We're really, really thankful for the focus on the day-to-day gun violence that cities like Jersey City experience, because we recognize that it's the national media swarm cities when you have active shooter and mass shooting situations like we experienced in Jersey City in December. Sometimes what gets overlooked is the day-to-day violence that people have to live with, particular people in minority communities. And so when we focus on initiatives like this today, it has a huge impact. So I just want to say thank you again to the governor, to the Attorney General, to all the leadership behind me, and I just want to bring up the next speaker, Micheline Davis. Thank you.
Good morning. We are here today to talk about an incredibly, significantly serious issue, but we are here in celebration because there is hope. There is hope because of the fact that we have each and every one of you who has decided that enough is enough. We are here because we have elected leadership that decided that what had always been done, which had gotten us where we had always been, was not where we needed to be anymore. And so I have the distinct honor and pleasure of being able to introduce the governor of the great state of New Jersey. But know this, know that he is here today not merely because this is on his schedule. Understand that he is here today because he recognizes that over the 900 shootings that happened last year and the 800 that resulted literally in homicide, that he understands that there's something that we can do differently about it, and ensure that he would partner with this state's great Attorney General to do something innovative between government and hospitals on how and why we need to respond to what is an epidemic of public health in the nation today. So I do not know about you, but I have a new hope today because of the fact that we have the leadership that has decided that we need to put people first, that it is okay to be creative and innovative with VOCA dollars in order to ensure that hospitals are creating the programs that will change the course of history across the nation today. This is not a big day just for New Jersey. This is a big day for every municipality and every town in every state across this country. Here, my friends, we have real leadership that matters. Put your hands together and welcome our governor, our strong leader, Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you all. I just asked Micheline if she would mind following me around New Jersey and introducing me everywhere. So, Micheline, you just got another responsibility. Good morning, everybody. A particular shout out to the T-shirts, as always, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mayor Steve Fulop, for welcoming us back to Jersey City. I don't know where this state would be without you, in good times and in tough times, as we've been together a lot over the past number of weeks. You're as good as it gets. So thank you, Steve, for everything you do. So hats off to you. And again, I want to thank Micheline Davis for that tremendous introduction. She just picked up a new occupation. And through you, I also want to thank RWJ Barnabas Health for its longstanding mission of working within the communities it serves to combat gun violence. And let's be clear, as you said so well, gun violence is a public health crisis, and together it's one that we can overcome, and I share that same hope. I'm delighted, by the way, to be back here for a return visit at the Mary McLeod Bethune Life Center, and I want to thank the folks who run this center for hosting us again so graciously. And I'm incredibly honored to be joined by a cavalcade of folks, beginning with the guy to my left, I think America's finest Attorney General, Gurbir Grewal. Bergen County's own. And the woman to my right, our dear friend, she'll get a more proper and fitting introduction in just a moment. Let's get it up for Gabby Giffords. I also want to recognize several other folks up here with us. On the far left, State Police Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan. Bless you. And to his right and on stage and in the audience, several of our leading gun sense champions in the legislature. I don't know where we'd be without them. The woman right to the left of the Attorney General, a huge leader on guns and so many other fronts, Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg. To her left, we're in her district. She rocks again on so many different fronts, Senator Sandra Cunningham. I also want to acknowledge up on stage with us my good friend Bill Kastner, who has been serving as my senior advisor on firearms policy. As he departs our administration to return to private law practice, I know our paths will continue to cross because this is a cause that he believes in. Thank you, Bill, for all you've done and all I know that you're going to keep doing. Bless you, buddy. And to a cavalcade of elected officials and other VIPs, I want to make sure our brothers and sisters in law enforcement, our faith leaders, our advocates in T-shirts or not, as the case may be, and a cavalcade of elected officials, Senator Joe Cryan right in front of me. God bless you, Joe. Assemblyman Nicholas Chiaravolati to his right, Assemblywoman Angela McKnight, Assemblywoman Shanique Spate, so many others here, Assad Akhtar in from Passaic County, Rolando Lavaro, Jermaine Robinson, Denise Ridley, Myra Prince, Council President Joyce Waterman. Oh, there's so many here. I also want to give a shout out to Nico Bokor. Where'd you go, Nico? From Montclair, New Jersey. And Nico, without you, we wouldn't be here today in the form that we're in, including especially with Gabby Gifford. So thank you so much. Amen. And First Deputy Attorney General Jen Davenport is with us somewhere. Jen, bless you and hats off to you. So, and I know there are more, so forgive me. Throughout the first 2 years of our administration, I have been honored with working with many others, including on this stage, to restore New Jersey's place as a national leader in the fight against senseless gun violence. And I've been proud to join with lawmakers, advocates, and survivors to sign numerous bills to do things such as keep guns out of the wrong hands, put in place sensible regulations, and weaken the grip of the gun industry. And I was equally proud to sign legislation to further invest in the evidence-based nonviolence intervention programs that may be our best chance to end the cycle of violence. And that brings us here today. And so today, it is my honor, along with the Attorney General, with Gabby and everyone here, to announce the first recipients of grant funding for hospital-based intervention programs. The grants we are announcing today will allow us to work directly to turn around lives at a single point of contact, the hospitals, where not just the victims of gun violence go, but where those on the other side of the trigger often end up. It will open up direct access to the services people need to find a new path. It will be where we take the first steps to furthering an education or gaining the skills needed to get a good job. It means substance abuse treatment. It means things like tattoo removal so people can quite literally begin life with a cleaner slate. It means creating a true continuum of support back home in one's own community. Roughly half of all the homicides in New Jersey occur in 5 cities. Steve alluded to this: Camden, Newark, Patterson, Trenton, and right here in Jersey City. And this is where our investments must start. And just as we have done with so many of the challenges facing our state, we are not just going to write a check and hope for the best. Good intentions at the end of the day are just good intentions. We are focused on results. Today, it starts with hospital-based intervention, but I'm equally committed to investing in our community-based partners in the neighborhoods most impacted by gun violence. They are a critical piece of this puzzle, and we will work and invest. We'll work with them and we'll invest in their success. We're going to use real science and data. We're going to do our homework, and we're going to roll up our sleeves right alongside you all. And that is because this isn't a fight any of us can win on our own. It's going to take a lot of heroes. The heroes are the countless advocates and residents who have come together in common purpose for safer streets and brighter futures for everyone who calls this great city home. Heroes like Hessie Williams, who channeled her grief of losing her son to organize a mother's pain and dedicate her life to breaking the cycle in violence right here in Jersey City. We thank Hessie and everyone who is working toward community-wide triumph over violence. The heroes are the tremendous men and women of the Jersey City Police Department, who, as we were reminded just last month, put their lives on the line every single day on behalf of all of us, and we thank them. The heroes are the elected officials who are standing up against the gun lobby and winning. I thank the lawmakers here for their courage and for their strength. And I also must give a huge shout out to our federal delegation for taking this fight on in Washington, and especially Senator Cory Booker, who recently introduced his Breaking the Cycle of Gun Violence legislation in the United States Senate, which would, which would provide additional federal resources to expand on the violence intervention efforts we are taking on today. And the heroes are those from all across the country who look at what we're doing in New Jersey and see us as a national model for smart and common sense gun safety, and who are willing to give of their time to lead and inspire us to do more and never give up. I can only be talking about our special guest today. And please join me again in welcoming back to New Jersey our dear friend, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. I'm going to say a few more words, if that's all right. So this is not Gabby's first visit to New Jersey by a long shot. She's married to a Jersey guy, by the way. Mark Kelly, who's running for Senate in Arizona. Go, Mark. No, amen. No, no one would have blamed Gabby or Mark if they decided after that horrible day 9 years ago to have receded from public life. But as we all know, Gabby is not one to give up. And for the past 9 years, she has been a powerful voice for good and a powerful presence that has spurred so many of us to action. After all, if Gabby can find the courage to keep fighting, then what are we if we cannot?
Yes.
And through Gifford's courage to fight gun violence, we have found a ready partner in our work to take on gun violence and the gun lobby. Gabby and team have provided endless support, and I underscore the word endless, policy, legal, and moral advice and help to our common cause. We thank Gabby and the entire Giffords organization for their tireless support, moral leadership, and personal courage. And because of her, we are going to win this fight. Now, for all that, yeah, amen. For all that, yeah. Yo, come on up. Can you grab that? So for all that Gabby has done, and in advance of all that I know she is going to continue to do, it is our honor, and I'd ask Bill to join me here, to not only introduce our next speaker, but to present this proclamation. Pretty fancy, huh? It's real. Honoring the spirit, courage, and hard work of a true hero, not just to me, not just to us, but to so many millions across this nation. Again, let's get it up one more time for Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. Thank you, Gabby. I'll hold this for you if you want.
Stopping gun violence takes courage. The courage to do what's right. The courage of new ideas. I've seen great courage when my life's on the line. Now is the time to come together, be responsible. Democrats, Republicans, everyone. We must never stop fighting. Fight, fight, fight! Be bold. Be courageous. The nation's counting on you. Thank you very much.
Man, that's powerful. By the way, we could all take lessons beginning with yours truly. Short, sweet, to the point, knock 'em dead. Let's cut out page 9 through 47. Several of my friends have noted that they have watched the entirety of The Irishman during several of my speeches. Thank you, Gabby, so much for everything you do. I also want to give a big shout out to a dear friend of so many, including yours truly, the guy to my left. I couldn't find you here. Chief of the Jersey City Police Department, Mike Kelly. Mike, great to have you. We wouldn't be here today without the leadership in so many respects, including getting the funding that will support the programs that we're proud to announce today without an extraordinary colleague. Please help me welcome the Attorney General of the great state of New Jersey, Gurbir Grewal.
Good morning, everyone. I am honored to join Governor Murphy, Congresswoman Giffords, and all the other allies in this fight against gun violence that are on the stage this morning and in the audience this morning. You know, just this past Monday, I joined a number of law enforcement officials in Camden to announce the results of a significant criminal investigation. We announced that we had taken 36 guns off the streets of Philadelphia and Camden, as well as a large quantity of drugs. One of the guns that we recovered in that operation, a military-style assault rifle, had been linked to a shooting that took place in Philadelphia last October. It was a shooting that tore apart a home on a Sunday afternoon, a shooting that killed 2-year-old Nicolette Rivera as her mother held her in her arms, a shooting that injured Nicolette's mom and another individual in the home. The 2 men arrested in that case were retaliating allegedly against Nicolette's father. And so while I'm proud of the work that the state police, along with our federal and county partners, did in that case to take those guns and drugs off the streets, and I'm proud of all the work that we do on a daily basis to take guns off the street in this state, and I'm proud of all the work that we do at the Attorney General's office to stop the flow of 3D printable guns, LCMs, large capacity magazines, and ghost guns into our state. As was said earlier, it's not enough. We have to do more. We have to do more to prevent the type of retaliation that killed Nicolette Rivera in Philadelphia. We have to do more to stop the daily gun violence that's taking place in our cities in New Jersey. Chief, when we met, and Pam was there in the community meeting after the terrorist attacks that took place right down the street from us, we were talking about solutions. We were talking about how you know who the next shooters are, and how you know who the next victims are, and how you need resources to intervene and to interrupt those cycles of violence. We made a promise that day to be here to help you. And today I think we're making good on that promise, not just for Jersey City, but for 8 other cities in this state, by awarding $20 million in Victims of Crime Act dollars, or VOCA money, to establish hospital-based violence intervention programs, to provide those programs and participants also the technical and training assistance needed to truly break those cycles that plague our communities and victims throughout our state. And these 9 locations, as you can see on the map to my left, cover nearly every metropolitan area in our state. And the awardees are the Jersey City Medical Center here in Jersey City, the Center for Family Services in Camden, the Trinitas, I got 7 more. Thankfully, the Trinitas Health Foundation in Elizabeth, the RWJ University Hospital in New Brunswick, University Hospital in Newark, Chief White, Deputy Chief Sarkos, Atlantic Care in Atlantic City, Capital Health in Trenton, the Jersey Shore University Medical Center in Neptune Township, and St. Joseph's Health in Patterson. These programs are going to allow trained specialists, oftentimes those who have experienced violence themselves, to reach out to victims in the hospital immediately after an incident occurs, so they can turn that experience into a teachable moment, and so they can address the mental health impacts that many people experience after victimization. And so they can, as I mentioned earlier, disrupt the cycle of violence for that individual and for the community involved. These programs change the current, quote, treat and release policies. Policies that have forced hospitals to discharge vulnerable victims back into the same environment in which they were injured. Policies that lead to further victimization. Our 9 sites will now have the resources to ensure that the very first time a victim enters a hospital, a victim of violence enters a hospital, that the violence ends there. And the evidence backs up our approach. On average, the recidivism rate for victims of gun violence who encounter hospital-based violence intervention programs is around 5%. For those who don't interact with these programs, the recidivism rate can be 25 to 35%. It's a 25 or 35% chance that that same victim will end up in that same hospital as a victim of another gunshot wound. And you don't have to take those stats. I was just talking to our partners from the Newark HFIT. They have touched nearly 300 people. And how many people returned to the hospital re-injured? 3. That, folks, is proof of concept. If we intervene at that critical moment, particularly for those who are the victims of street violence or gun violence, then we can not only prevent repeat victimization, we can also help our most vulnerable residents move on to brighter new paths. Now, today's awards make New Jersey the largest investor of VOCA dollars in the country in these types of programs. I want to thank the men and women in my office who worked hard to make these programs possible, but in particular, a shout out to our special advisor for victim services, Elizabeth E. Rubin, who's here. Elizabeth, thank you. And Governor, thank you for your leadership in making New Jersey a model when it comes to fighting gun violence, to supporting victims, and to combating violence of all types in all of our communities. And Congresswoman, it's an honor to stand alongside a giant in this fight such as yourself. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gabir. That's as good as it gets. I know there are other dignitaries, but I can't ignore, because I just saw her, our incumbent home county prosecutor, Esther Suarez, is here. Esther, great to see you. We're playing a home game in Hudson County. We got to give you a shout out here. We've said many times that it's true, it takes a village. We need the advocates, we need law enforcement, we certainly need hospitals, community organizations. We need legislators, we need legislative leadership. And we've got a room full of leaders, and we wouldn't be here without them. And two of them are going to speak. I'm honored first to bring up, we're in her backyard. Please help me welcome Senator Sandra Cunningham.
Good afternoon, Governor, and thank you as well for bringing this news to Jersey City. We really appreciate it. You know, so much has already been said today, but there is just one little part that I wanted to add. New Jersey has been doing a wonderful job of trying to get to the bottom of what is going on in terms of judicial reform, in terms of criminal justice reform. New Jersey has done a very good job of getting and trying to deal with the issues of expanding what we're doing for people who are coming back into society after having been incarcerated. But there is one part that has not been dealt with as well as it should be, because it's all going to be part of a partnership, and that is the mental health issue. That is a big part of what we need to work on at this point. This today will help us do that. It will help bring mental health issues, criminal justice reform, and improve what we're doing in terms of reentry. So I'm so excited that this is being brought and announced today, because that's the part that we need to put together, and that applies to the victim and the perpetrator. The victim and the perpetrator. That's where we need to go. Thank you very much.
I know my cue, Senator. Please help me welcome another champion day in and day out, in good times and bad, in the fight for gun safety and the fight for so many other agendas in our state. Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. I always know when I'm up next, when the governor comes and puts the step stool down. So thank you, Governor, and thank you to your advanced team that learned this lesson the first time I couldn't see over the podium that they asked me to speak at. So thank you. But I'd like to take a moment to talk about my friend Bill Kastner, if you don't mind. I was trying to remember the first time Bill and I got involved in an issue around gun safety. And how old is your son?
He's 17 now.
17 years ago. I was a newly minted assemblywoman, and Bill was a lowly assembly staffer. Yes, about that high on the totem pole. And a group came to me talking about things like gun safety and child-proof handguns. And Bill helped me put together a piece of legislation. The day it was to be debated in the Assembly, which is why I remember this date so well, Bill showed up to sit by my side in case I forgot anything during the course of the debate. And I noticed he was wearing a hospital bracelet. So I said to him, why are you wearing that hospital bracelet? And he said, my wife just gave birth this morning. Well, my reaction was not, it was like, what are you doing here? I won't add the snarky comment that I sometimes add. Can I? That's why she's Bill's first wife. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. But seriously, okay, now get back on track here. He and I have been involved on this road for those 17 years. And first of all, to see the stage that our state has gotten to, where we are now dealing with the larger issue, with the issue, looking at this as a healthcare problem, as well as a gun safety problem. Part of that is because we have a governor who was able to see this in a larger picture, and an attorney general who, yes, happens to be from Bergen County, who was able to help implement these programs. So first of all, a shout out to the advocates that have been there through this long road. Moms Demand Action. I am never, ever at anything that has to do with guns that you're not present. So thank you for your thank you for your advocacy. Thank you to our governor for not only bringing this legislation forward, but helping us to see a bigger picture. And thank you to a heroine who has been with us for the last 9 years, Gabby Gifford. Finally, to my friend Bill Kastner, thank you for your advocacy, for always being so steadfast to get us to the places where we are today. And even though you're going into private practice, I am sure the governor is still going to be calling on you for issues like this. So from me to you, and I'm still trying to fix my granddaughter up with his son, by the way. It would be the melding of two great families. But seriously, thank you very much for everything you've done and everything you are going to do. Thank you.